y'all, and thank you for tuning into Respectfully with Miss Pretty Young Thing. I'm your girl PYT, and let's get into it. So y'all, we are in my kitchen, so you already know what time it is. I am about to throw down, okay? So I have a trip to take. I have 2 trips to take. I'll be going to Miami, I'll be going to Orlando, and then I'll be coming back home, okay? Part of the trip is road trip, part of the trip is flight. So I will be making a few meals so that I can make this as cost efficient as we possibly can, so that I'm not spending too much on food, you know, for no reason. So let's go ahead and do that. I have some chicken, I have some mac and cheese, and I have some cornbread that I can go ahead and make really quick. I ran to Walmart and got 3 tinfoil cases, 1 for the chicken, 1 for the cornbread, and 1 for the mac and cheese that we are going to go ahead and get started, okay? I have about an hour and some change to get all this done, and while we do that, we are going to be talking about baddies, okay? Okay, sorry, I got a little thirsty. This stream has been brought to you by Bold House Farms. Listen, nut butter. Y'all need to try it if y'all ain't tried it. This thing good. But anyways, we are going to be talking about baddies. So the latest episode of Baddies came out recently, and I wanted to go ahead and discuss that really quick. So while we do that, let me go ahead and get my ingredients together, and in the meantime, do me a favor, like this video, leave me a comment, let me know how you feel about how Baddies is going on so far this season. They're only on the first island, and please go ahead and subscribe so that you can get all things PYT respectfully. So let me go ahead and start grabbing some of the things that we're going to be working with while we get everything together for our dinner, okay? Alright, so it looks like I'm working with elbow noodles. I have some oil. Let me go ahead and start the process. I washed this pot out already. Let me re-rinse it one more time before I throw down my pasta. So let's go ahead and get to talking. So in the beginning of the episode, you know, it starts with what we ended off on. And what we ended off on was Natalie versus Tommie. Now, they ended up scrapping a couple times. You already know they have some tension between the 2 of them because of everything that's happened with the past seasons, everything that happened off the app, all the ish talking, all the back and forth and things of that nature. So Natalie versus Tommie is something that we are already familiar with. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the last time that they've seen each other before this episode was the boxing match. So we know the boxing match, according to Tommie, was rigged in favor of Miss Nunn. So we can't really play favorites when it comes to that situation, because if somebody paid me a couple stacks, a couple bags to lose a fight, I would have no problem doing so. You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where a lot of people were just like, oh, Natalie won fair and square. But if the opponent is saying that she got paid to lose, can you really say that she won fair and square? Not really. So essentially what starts happening from there is Natalie and Tommie start to get into it. Now, it doesn't start happening immediately because Natalie and her little minions, if you want to put it that way, instantly begin to start talking ish in the distance. Ran out of oil in this can. Thank God I bought some more. Natalie, as well as some of the others, start talking ish, and some of the others include Miss Jayla. All right, Jayla, you over here talking ish about Tommie. We know how Tommie is. We know that Tommie is not gonna sit here and just stand for anything, any of this extra energy be thrown her way unwarranted, because if her issue is with Natalie, she's not trying to go and deal with anybody else aside from Natalie. So it's one of those things where it's just like, I feel like Jayla was doing too much as far as her confessionals, because if you really want to dig that grave with Miss Tommie leave, child, I wouldn't do it. I personally would not do it. But nonetheless, Jayla is talking her age. Some of the other girls were Team Natalie as well. And some of the newbies were choosing sides as well. And it was one of those things where it's just like, I've never understood the point of choosing sides on a circumstance that has nothing to do with you. And on top of it having nothing to do with you, it's unwarranted, the energy that they're giving it. And what I mean by that is, like, why are you going back and forth and with Biggie later on in the episode about who won a fight? Oh, Natalie dragged her, when that's not what happened. The first time they tussled, Natalie got dragged. Her wig was off. She was literally on the floor, and Tommie got the best of her. Now, after the fact, we can't necessarily say that Natalie got a fair win in, because what actually happened is security kept breaking through. And in the midst of security breaking through, Tommie didn't get an opportunity to get any hits in because, kind of like what Tommie said, they were low-key playing favoritism between her and Natalie, which we should already know that that was going to be the circumstance, because whose show is it? Who brought these girls together? Who is always reminding us that they are the EP, they are the HBIC? So we can't expect anything less than Zeus playing favorites on this motion. You hear what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where it's just like, Tommie, what else did you expect aside from Zeus playing in your face? You know, I feel like it was expected. I feel like it should have been expected. If she didn't expect it, then I don't know what to tell her, because I expected it. Anybody that is beefing with Natalie on Baddies should expect that. I'm honestly surprised that Callie, you know what? I take that back, because Callie and Natalie didn't end up scrapping. But if it were to turn into a point in time where they would end up scrapping, you already know how that secret stance would go, because out of Callie and Natalie, which one brings in more money? Which one secures a greater check? You know? So it is what it is. When it came to that circumstance, Aubrey O'Day. Now, I already told y'all, Aubrey, she's like one of my favorites right now, because her confessionals are like golden. She's super funny. She is definitely on the do not touch list, because she always has security on standby 24/7, no matter where she is standing on set. But even with that, I can understand how Tommie is not a fan of her extracurricular feedback when it came to her outfit. So it was said in Aubrey's confessional that she felt like Tommie's outfit on the horse was sheen. She said she was wearing sheen. Who's this lady coming on sheen chaps? Something like that. And I can understand how Tommie could feel some type of way, because one thing about Tommie, she does not play about her beautiful gowns, okay? She does not play about her outfits, and she will never, stand for somebody talking ish about, the good money that she paid for it. And she ended up actually clapping back on social media. But either or, it was expected, because it's one of those things where it's just like, at the end of the day, if I spent good money on stuff, you're not going to sit here and talk to me sideways about it, especially if I don't have a problem with it. And how Tommie ended up clapping back on social media is basically saying, it's funny how somebody who has a no-touch order is talking all this mess in their confessionals. Which, Honestly, can we really be shocked for anybody to be upset at Aubrey's confessionals? Like, can we really? Because at the end of the day, she is literally getting away with murder. How she is talking in these confessionals. As much as I love it, you knew it was going to get Aubrey in a little bit of trouble. We all knew that it was going to get Aubrey in a little bit of trouble. So we're going to see how things continue via social media when it comes to Aubrey and Tommie. But respectfully, Aubrey said what she said. She was just like, look, it was giving Sheen. Although we know Tommie is the glam queen that she is, she ain't gonna be, no, I spilled some. She ain't gonna be wearing no Sheen. Especially if they paid her top dollar to be there. So that was going on. By the time they got broken up the first time, Natalie, well, before they even got to the point of fighting, Natalie, I'm going to need for you to do better by way of your shit talking. Because the way Natalie talks smack is actually a little disturbing. You're not going to be sitting on an island, beautiful beach scenery, making threats of drowning people. So essentially what's happening at this point in time, Natalie and Tommie are going back and forth. Natalie is standing by way of her friends, which I guess you could say are the Scotties, the Jaylas, and people that are team her. And she was kind of sort of like, I guess, taken aback, if you can put it that way, that she was there on the beach to begin with. You could tell Natalie was kind of gagged by it. Like, I don't know if this was lemon pepper that kind of sort of set it up that way as far as having her come in, whether or not, it's kind of, you really can't tell whether or not Natalie knew she was coming at all versus Natalie not knowing that she was going to be in this scene. Like, you really don't know how privy Natalie was to Tommie coming in, because you know, with her being a part of the cast and having her own beefs with some of these girls, you can tell Lemmy Pepper does not tell her everything when it comes to even, you know, who he's cutting the checks to, because no matter what Natalie says, it is not you that is cutting the checks, Mookie. Yes, you help bring in some of the girls, but once those relationships are already made as far as Zeus is concerned, they bring back whoever the hell they want to. And respectfully, bringing Tommie was a great idea. All right. Gouda. So I was very, very happy to see Tommie come, and respectfully, her coming in on that horse was iconic, because it was one of those things where it gave that Natalie was more mad at how glorious her entrance was, if that makes sense, than the fact that she was there in the first place. It was just like, why does she get a horse? And it was giving jealousy, if that makes sense. So that's how that began before they went into fight one, in which I feel like Tommie won. Let me know in the comments who you feel like was winning the back and forth between Tommie and Natalie, because honestly, I feel like, you know, fight one was won by Tommie. Fight two was won by security. And fight three was won by Natalie. The fight 2 and 3 happened over by the cars, because by that time, Natalie, I guess, was making her grand exit in true HBIC form, because she felt like it was too much. Tommie was too much for her to handle, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So she was opting to bring her butt elsewhere. So there was a lot of moving pieces when it came to that scene. A little after that is, you know, it was just a lot of back and forth when it came to the circumstances of that scene in a whole. But what I definitely can say is this: Tommie's entrance definitely was iconic. It definitely gagged Natalie the way it was supposed to gag her. It definitely set a precedent for how the other girls feel about her, as far as the newbies go, as far as Team Natalie girls go, as far as even Biggie. Biggie 1000% did her big one for inviting Tommie in the first place and letting her know that they were on the beach. Because respectfully, it definitely spiced up the scenery. Because before that, remember, all they were talking about was Gretch saying the N-word and things of that nature. And even in that, big shout out to Tommie. One thing about Tommie, she's not gonna take sides on a circumstance until she knows what the hell is going on. So in that scene as well, she was able to pull Gretch to the side and ask her what's going on, why is she separated, why are you looking like that? And that's when she said the girls tried to jump her for saying the N-word and things of that nature. Now, let's clear that up, because Tommie asked her a valid question. She was just like, Gretch was like, oh, I say the N-word because I'm Puerto Rican. And Tommie was like, and black, right? How did Gretch respond? No, I'm not black. I'm just Puerto Rican. So, if you can fix your lips to say that you are not black, how can you also fix those same lips to say it should be okay for you to say the word nigga? Like, everybody on the internet was saying, oh, Gretch can say it because she's black. She said she's not black. And you should know that she said she's not black by way of her saying, my children are black. My grandfather is black. Never has she ever said, I am black. And even in terms of that, now that the question was asked to her directly by way of Tommie, big shout out to Mama Tommie, Grandmama Tommie now, because you know she got a grandbaby. She finally got a direct answer to the circumstance. And it's one of those things where it's just like, Jayla told y'all. Jayla told y'all that that little girl was not black. Y'all did not want to listen to Miss Jayla Mina. And if you watch some of my other posts, you know that I felt some type of way about the colorism when it came to them calling each other monkeys and gorillas and apes and orangutans. And now we have people like, you know, Gretch coming in and saying it all willy-nilly. You notice how Mariah Lynn's and all of them were steering away from even saying stuff like that in the confessionals, as far as, you know, them, Anna Mac hasn't said anything about it from what I know. They did mention it to Biggie, like we learned in the other episode, but it's still one of those things where it's just like, can she say it? I don't think so. If you can't even claim to be black, if someone asks you, are you black, and you say no, case dismissed. Case dismissed. There's no other way to throw it. The case is dismissed. All right? So let me know in the comments how you felt about that scene altogether. So now we move on to other things. There's a scene with the girls outside. Remember, I told you my last video that they're doing a lot more talking scenes. They're giving them more things to say, and kind of sort of setting up little moments, kind of like Love and Hip Hoppy. And so we have Biggie, we had Natalie, we had one of the newbies. What's her name? Slim Too Bad is her name. So Slim Too Bad was there, Biggie was there, Natalie was there, and somebody was beside of Natalie, I think. Now, Slim Too Bad. Slim Too Bad has clearly chosen a side, and the side that she has chosen is the groupie side. Because why are you lying, saying that Tommie was lumped up? Why are you lying, saying that Natalie won those fights? Why are you lying? And big shout out to Big Biggie, okay, for standing up on what she believes in, standing on business, saying that that is not the circumstance, that she was not lumped up, and exiting stage left when it came to the fake and fraudulent activities that was happening in that scene. Because it was one of those things where it was just like, I liked Slim, but that like for her dropped last episode in the scene. Leave it a little longer. Last episode in the scene where her and the Caribbean girl, what's her name? Her and the one with the accent, the Bahamian one. You entered yourself in the Tinkerbell and DTV situation for no reason, and now you're entering yourself to Biggie for the Natalie and Tommie situation, literally deriding Natalie for no reason. Don't sit here and lie. Talk about you saw Tommie lumped up. When at the end of the day, yes, Tommie left with scratches, but Natalie, you always have a vape in your hand or some sort of object that could prevent anyone from getting to you as thoroughly as they possibly can. And it's one of those things where it's just like, yo, don't sit here trying to play my dog like that. Don't sit here talking about, let me start turning on the stove, y'all. Don't sit here talking about how she was all lumped up and all of this extra brouhaha when that wasn't the situation. Like, don't do that. So that scene was a hot mess. And I guess what was going to happen after that is for them to kind of sort of separate themselves to go on, I guess, like a nature hike or something like that. So here goes Natalie with the activities. Before that, Biggie says, when are they getting to the bag? What I have realized is there is no more bag to get to. They have kind of sort of set it up so that now on the show, all we're doing is watching them travel. And when it comes to Baddies Caribbean, there is no bag for them to get to. And I feel like, I'm not going to sit here and say that the baddies are not known in other places, because we know better than to say that. Yeah, the baddies are known. Let's not cap. But then at the same token, they're not, like, it's hard to tell whether or not they tried taking bookings in the Caribbean or whether or not they're just on a big family vacation. But it's giving family vacation. It's giving, this season is not about getting to the bag. It's about just fighting on a couple islands in the Caribbean. Because that wasn't, it's like, it was a valid question of Biggie to ask, like, when are we getting to the bag? What are we doing here, essentially? Imagine signing a contract to be on a show, not knowing the motive of the show, not knowing the motive of the season, not knowing what is there going to be for us to do aside from Baddie Shot Pop. And that's what it was giving, because there's no reason for there to not be anything else aside from that. You get what I'm saying? So either or, all the girls get together. So it's the replacements, it's the new girls, and it's the celebrities. It's everybody all together. So Natalie breaks them up into groups. I don't understand why Natalie is the one that chose these groups, because we know Natalie is messy. We should have known better. You should have known better than to let Natalie choose. You should have known better, because why is Tinkerbell and Diamond the Body in the same group? So I think it was Tink, Natalie, if I'm not mistaken, Scotty too. So Tink, all I know is it was Natalie was in the same group as Diamond the Body and Tinkerbell. And I feel like Natalie put herself in that group just so that she can be a witness to the buffoonery and effery that is happening, just to later jump into confessionals like, oh my God, these girls can't spend one day without fighting. Girl, you knew that was going to happen because they said it was on site every single time that they were going to go in it. Y'all, every time I say that, I think about Evner. So I feel like it was dumb of Natalie to think that it was going to be anything less than, especially considering, big shout out to Scotty, because I love this woman that Scotty is showing to us, and I feel like Scotty, this is the first season since her first season. Remember, the first season she ended up getting smacked by Krishan, and then they ended up kissing like two lesbians in the club. Ever since then, I feel like Scotty lost herself. And I feel like now she's finally gaining herself back. And I love that for her. I 100% love that for Scotty. Because it's the side of her that we have been missing for a very long time. We already knew that Scotty was a sweetheart. We already knew that Scotty was, you know, a good girl, keeps to herself, whatever you may take of it. Perfect. The noodles are nice and tender. But it was one of those things where it was just like, we weren't being able to get to see that. And I feel like there's no other person to blame except for Lemmy for that. Because, respectfully, as a woman, I know that we are easily distracted by men. And I feel like with everything that was going on with Scotty, allegedly, with Mr. Lemuel, that Tink had a lot going on and could not truly be her true self. Okay, so I got the pasta drained. Okay, put it right here. Okay, and then I'm gonna lower the temperature on the cheese. But I feel like we're finally getting to see Scotty in her wonderful form, finally. And it's been such a long time, and I'm super happy to, you know, finally get her in her true form again. Like, Scotty, we missed you. Come home. Come home, Scotty. All right, so that being said, I feel like I am very content with the side of Scotty that we are seeing this season. We missed her. It's very refreshing to see her like the only kind of like, I'll say kind of Switzerland person. Only reason that it's kind of is because we know better than to think that she's going to leave Natalie's side or not, you know, be there for her throughout all of this effery that is going on between her and Tommie, may you have it. So, I don't know. It's one of those, let's just wait and see how it continues to play out. But it's 100% giving. I am in love with Scotty right now. Like, I am 100% in love with Scotty and this woman that we are slowly seeing her become, as far as returning to her true self and its evolution. If that makes sense. Because it's like she's still Scotty with the body, but she's older. She's more seasoned. She's been through some things in life, you know? So I feel like it's a little different. It's a lot different. So, big shout out to Scotty. We love you, girl. We see you, girl. And we appreciate you. I want to see Scotty end up like with a fine NBA player, man. I've said that before. Like, I feel like she deserves to be a basketball wife. I feel like when she gets older, she deserves a peach. Okay, she deserves a good seat at the table for Real Housewives of Atlanta one day. And I feel like I want to be around long enough to see that happen. Like, I do not want to see her get ruined by these little toxic men. Okay, because she is beautiful inside and out, y'all. Like, I love me some Scotty. And I really want to see her grow and continue to flourish and do bigger and better things. If you see her on social media now, you see that she's accepting bookings now. You see that she's, you know, out and about. She was just on stage with Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla at the concert, living her best life. And honestly, I'm here for it. Like, this is the life that Scotty deserves, you know? And I am absolutely here for it. All right. I literally made just enough mac and the right amount of cheese. All right. So big shout out to Scotty with the body. As far as going into the nature hike, like we were talking about before, I feel like it was kind of stupid the way it was set up into the groups, but nonetheless, like in true fashion that we thought, oh, it was DTB that was sitting with Biggie and them outside, if I'm not mistaken. But I remember there was a scene where they were actually in the bus heading to the nature hike or whatever it is that you want to call it. And DTB is on one bus and Tinkerbell is on the other bus, and they're both talking about each other. But I feel like DTB, I feel like she's cursed. She was cursed from the second that she got on the scene, okay? She was one of the crowd favorites over on another network. And I don't watch that network, so I didn't know about DTB like that. But I knew she was from Broward County, so I was instantly for her, because y'all know I'm from Dade. And I wanted to see what she had to offer. She's very beautiful, dark-skinned queen, cute little lisp. She seems like she has a lot to offer as far as personality-wise, and I'm here for it. A lot of people were saying that, you know, she jumped towards Tinkerbell for no reason at the auditions. But I don't think it was necessarily for no reason. It kind of sort of was warranted. Because if you actually pay attention to that scene, Diamond the Body had the mic in her hand, if I'm not mistaken, at the audition. And Tinkerbell cut her off in the middle of her speaking to say whatever it was that she had to say. And that's when DTB proceeded to snatch her wig. Okay? So no matter how bad Tinkerbell wants to say that it was unwarranted for her to do so, respectfully, it was, like, I can't say that it was warranted per se, but it's not that there was no motive behind it. It's not that she did it for no reason. You cut her off in the middle of her talking. You literally stepped in front of her in the middle of, you know, the judges giving her the time of day. But the only reason why you got that time of day is because she gave you that time of day, if that makes sense. So it's one of those things where it was just like, don't try to play my dog. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like the reason why I say she's cursed is because, like I said, she comes from another network. Who else was on Baddies that came from another network? Etheria okay, did not pave, I'm gonna put a little bit more, did not pave the best of ways, okay? You know how in some circumstances you could say that someone walked so that someone else could run? Nah, because E.T. hasn't done anything since Baddies. E.T. has not done anything productive with herself since Baddies. And honestly, it's kind of like embarrassing, for lack of words, to see E.T. like up to nothing. Literally up to nothing when it comes to her current activities since Baddies. And it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't know. Y'all, I got some leftover noodles. I think I'm gonna make some cheese with it to eat before I leave for the airport. But nah, y'all, like, it's quite embarrassing, if I do say so myself. And because of the bad taste that Lemmy and production have when it comes to the other network, I feel like before DTV even had her time to shine, it was kind of already set up against her. Odds were already not in her favor. Okay, and you can kind of sort of see what I'm talking about by way of how the other girls treat her, how they've kind of sort of teamed up against her, how they listen to Tink talk, but they don't listen to her talk when it comes to a lot of the behind the scenes motion. You kind of sort of see it. Even, like, I love Scotty to death, but she wasn't even hearing my girl out when it came to her reasoning behind snatching her wig off at the auditions in the first place. Let's put it this way. Diamond understood the assignment, because at the end of the day, she knows that when it comes to Natalie and these girls, or whatever the case may be, sometimes you got to do your big one in order to get the result that it is that you are looking for. You get what I'm saying? So in that, she understood the assignment. She said it before. She had reason to do it, because if it wasn't for her doing that she wouldn't even be on the show. So she basically told Tinkerbell a fat, "You're welcome." And as bold as that is to say, where's the lie? Because I feel like Diamond the Body had a chance to get on the show with or without that happening. But did Tinkerbell have a shot to get on the show with or without that happening? No, I don't think so. Let's not play ourselves in thinking that it was anything else. I'm gonna add a tad more. You want it to be as yummy as it possibly can be. All right. So let's not sit here and kid ourselves thinking that Tinkerbell had a shot. Thinking that, you know, if Diamond the Body did not do her big one, that, you know, it wasn't going to go unanswered. Now, what I will say is this. DTV did not expect Tink to have all of this personality that she has, and that annoys her. I feel like she expected this to have a different result because of who she is, the punch that she comes with, and, you know, the impact that she's had already on the community. But I feel like even if Tink wasn't privy to who DTV was prior to auditions, before she got on the show, she definitely did her research. Oh yeah, she definitely did her research. There's nothing that can tell me otherwise. She made sure that she watched a couple episodes of Now That's TV, whatever show she was on, and she made sure that she got herself together. She gotta get herself together, cause she got someplace to go. All right? She made sure she got herself together in order to do her research and get everything together as far as this circumstance goes, because apparently headlock is DTV's thing. And you could kind of tell that she was shocked by her, you know, kind of sort of putting her in that position in the first place. And it kind of sort of makes her look salty, continuing to want to talk about it. I want to go again, I want to go again, I want to go again, when it's one of those things where it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to tell. Let me know in the comments how you feel about DTV versus Tink. Because as for me and my household, I want to take Tink's side so bad, but you could tell the girls don't care. When she was talking about it on the bus, they were barely paying her any mind. I'm adding brown sugar, y'all. They were barely paying her any mind when it came to the circumstance. They borderline was about to tell her, sorry, preheat is done. But they were borderline about to tell her to shut the hell up with how much it was that she was talking about it. Even by the time Scotty was trying to get her to apologize to Tink, I could tell the apology wasn't going to happen. So I don't know why Scotty believed that in the first place. But you know Scotty, she has a good heart. And she had good intention behind, you know, what she was trying to get them to do. But let me know in the comments how you feel about that situation. Because to me, it was not unwarranted for DTV to hit her in the first place. But it is definitely puzzling to me that DTV did not expect the unexpected when it came to her response. Now, what I will say is this. Tink is a little extra. Because I was scrolling on Instagram and apparently she made a song called Headlock. I have not listened to it yet. I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's bad. But let me know in the comments if you heard Tinkerbella's new hit single called Headlock. Let me know what you thought about it. Let me know if it's good. Let me know if it's worthy of our time. Just let me know. Because at this point in time, I feel like this is getting out of hand, respectfully. I can understand why Tink would want to do it, because it's one of those things where, like, it's giving her the moment, and as people are continuing to talk about it, she's going to continue to acknowledge it. And rightfully so, because headlocks could end up being her thing instead of DTV's thing, or it could end up being, you know, the ghost of DTV's past. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell in which direction all of that is going to go in. But all together, we're going to see how that's going to end up playing itself out. So I'm going to start cleaning this area up, y'all. And I'm going to start working on my chicken. But I think that while I do that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this video short, because it's giving... We don't really know everything that's going to happen as far as the rest of the trip as far as walking goes, because they didn't really go anything in depth. So let's go over that last part, and then I'm going to go ahead and continue to cook, and I will show y'all the final results. So when it came to the trip, we know that they ended up getting split up. We know that DTV ended up in the same area as Miss Tink. And we know both of them did not like it. So we know they end up going back and forth. Okay, and we know that Jayla ends up with Meatball on that side. Okay, and oh, they were the ones that were with Scotty, because Scotty said that it was unexpected for Meatball to step to Jayla the way she did. Now, I did mention before that I felt like it looked like Jayla was a little bit shook by how Meatball stepped to her, and I take that back. I think it was one of those things where Jayla was kind of sort of letting her speak while looking down at her like, what is this munchkin doing in my face? And then after she finished her sentence, then Jayla jumped in. And I first saw it, it essentially looked like she was taken aback by meatballing her face in the first place, but I take that back. So when it came to that circumstance, they kind of sort of was going back and forth because they asked her whether or not she felt like she was being a bully in the circumstance, which honestly, I can say no. I'll say yes and no. No, Jayla wasn't being a bully. Did she take it too far? Yes. And at the end of the day, now fast forward to where they are in real life now, her and Biggie don't have no problem. So I'm assuming Jayla went and apologized later on, but we will see how the season continues when it comes to Jayla versus Biggie. We know it's going to come to a point in time where they're going to be good. They're going to have some sort of a consensus or whatever the case may be. Now we just got to kind of sort of watch it play out. All right, we're going to clean this out so that we can make our chicken. So yes, I feel like I give Meatball a standing ovation for standing up for her friend. Because one thing about it and two things for certain, the only people on this entire show that know how to stand up for their friends and stand on business about it are Meatball and Bianca. Sapphire, sit your butt down. Mariah Lynn, sit and take 2 seats, 1 for each booty cheek, because you definitely don't know how to be there for your friends, okay? Like, there have been so many circumstances where Mariah Lynn could have been there for Bianca with the back and forth of the Sapphire thing. How you gonna sit here and set your friend up for failure by not telling her that you and her made up? And then you're gonna run to the internet saying, oh, well, you wouldn't even be in this position if it wasn't for me. Ma'am. But yeah, y'all, I thought it was really weird for Mariah Lynn to sit here taking claim to Bianca's Zeus career when we already knew who she was. Like, don't do that. In my head, I would picture them inviting Young B before Mariah Lynn. So honestly, let me know how you feel about that circumstance as a whole as well. But y'all, I am going to continue doing my big one in cleaning this kitchen up, okay, before I start the process of making this chicken. And what y'all can do me a favor and do is go ahead and like this video. Please let me know in the comments how you felt about everything that took place of the latest episode of Baddies Caribbean. Let me know the direction that it's going to go in as far as Jayla and Biggie. Let me know what you feel like is going to go down some more when it comes to Tommie and Natalie. Let me know whether or not you feel like DTB is in the wrong for the circumstance with, you know, Tinkerbell. Let me know how you feel about Scotty. Let me know how you feel about the N-word situation, if you have any energy for that, because honestly, it's a little draining. Let me know how you feel about Aubrey's commentary and whether or not Tommie is in the right to step to her as regards to it. Let me know in the comments everything as a whole that you are feeling when it comes to Baddies Caribbean. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this chicken. Y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I gotta hurry up and get this situated within the next hour. So please stay tuned. You're gonna see a vlog coming out soon on my journey across to Miami, then down to Orlando, and then back up to Atlanta. Until next time, respectfully.